When greens go on sale, or any produce for that matter, you better stock up while you can. I've got 25 bunches of greens. I've got turnip greens, collard greens, mustard greens, greens everywhere. That's a great thing that I've got them to because I'm gonna put them on my Thanksgiving table and I just love having them throughout the winter. So now is a perfect time to cook them down, let them cool and freeze them so that way I don't have to spend hours cooking them later. Do it one time, separate it out, and just have them whenever you want them. With so many greens, you're gonna need a really big pot, one that you can actually go into, and that might be a good start. What I'm gonna do is set my heat to medium, and I'm gonna put 3 tablespoons of olive oil into the bottom of this pot and get it really hot. There we go. Into the hot olive oil, I'm gonna put 1 pound of sliced and chopped smoked sausage, going right in. The pot is hot already. Into the sausage, and I had to cover these guys up because if you cut onions, especially this much onions, you know. This is 2 onions chopped up, which gives me about 2 cups. So, put all those onions in there. And anytime I put onions in a pot, I always want to hit it with at least a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. And what this will do is draw out a lot of the moisture from the onions and start to get them to caramelize a little bit faster. Then we let these guys brown up for just a moment. Let the onions start to soften and get translucent. The onions have softened up and the sausage is rendering really nicely. Now it's time to add some garlic, and I've got 5 cloves of garlic. I'm just going to press right into the pot. Garlic is in, onions are super soft, sausage is fragrant, everything's smelling really great. So it's time for the greens. Now I've got 25 bunches of greens, but I have to cut them in batches and cook them kind of in batches. So these are really going to take up a lot of room in the pot, and it's gonna look like a lot, like I won't have enough room in this pot to cook everything, but trust me, I will. Because as they cook down, you just add more greens on top. I'm just giving it a little stir. Actually compresses the leaves down a little bit, which makes a lot of room for the next bowl right here. Second bowl down. Okay. Now I'm going to hit this with about a teaspoon of salt. There we go. Give it a good mix. I'm also going to add 2 cups of water, and this is going to help them to steam. Our pot's pretty full, so now what we need to do is just cover it up, let them steam for about 5 minutes, and we're gonna see that we have a whole lot more room in the pot to add a lot more greens. Let's see where we are now. Ooh, yes! So the leaves are getting super soft, soft and tender. You can see. Yeah. Give it a good stir so that way all of the more wilted leaves on the bottom can come up and kind of press down on the fluffier leaves. There we go. Oh, this is gonna give us so much more room. Awesome. All right, so that great big pot that we had, look almost overflowing, is now down to here. Perfect, we can add more. And as they cook down, just keep layering it on. Top it, about 5 to 7 more minutes. The greens are cooking down in all of those bowls of greens that you saw here earlier, all of that I put in the pot. You can see right here, there's still room left. That goes to tell you exactly how much moisture is cooked out of these beautiful leaves. All right, I've got my sausage and onions and garlic in here. I've got a little bit of salt. Now, what I'm gonna do is put about half a tablespoon of my gunpowder seasoning right here, all over these greens to spice them up. And of course, as it cooks down, you can add more seasoning if you like. If you want it like a little spicier, that's great. If you don't, that's fine too. But since the greens have kind of a bitterness to them, I'm gonna put a little bit of sugar in here as well, but I'm gonna wait until much later to put the sugar, and that way I don't overpower it and make it too sweet. So just give this a good stir. Time to add one of the most important flavoring ingredients, and this is a smoked ham hock. And this whole thing just goes right there inside the pot on the greens. I'm gonna cover this up and let this cook, continuing at medium heat for about 10 minutes. I'm gonna come back, stir it, taste it, and adjust the seasoning as needed. These guys take a little while, so low and slow is the key. That's what makes them so special. Everything is cooked. The ham hock is still in there, giving off its flavor and getting so tender and actually breaking up into little pieces too, so all of the meat is gonna fall right off of the bone and give it that much more flavor. All right, let's taste and see what we've got. They're still very bitter. So this is gonna need some more time to simmer and a lot more seasoning. So I'm gonna add a tablespoon of gunpowder. There we are. So that's gonna help season it up. And I know this is gonna sound crazy, but I want to add a 1/4 cup of sugar into this. And the sugar is going to help just kind of mellow it out and really get rid of that bitterness. So that's 1/8 cup. There's another 1/8 for the 1/4 cup. And that should do it as far as the sweetness goes. Okay. And give this a good stir. It's absolutely getting there. So the more that this cooks down, the more the flavor is going to concentrate. So I don't want to over season it just yet. I want to let it cook and simmer and check it again in about an hour and see where it is. So that's the beautiful thing about this, is anything you do low and slow that isn't pressurized, you can continue to taste it and adjust and see how it goes from there. All right, so I'm gonna turn the heat down to about medium low and just let this go for about 30 minutes. I'll check it again. It smells really good. Okay, so here's a time where you adjust the seasoning. I'm gonna get my fork and I'm gonna get a little bite. Let's see here. The leaves are still just a little bit crunchy. There's still just a little bit of tartness to it. I wanted a little spicier, so I'm going with another 1/2 tablespoon of gunpowder spice right over the top. And I want 2 more tablespoons of sugar. So that's 1/8 cup. Okey-doke. Check it out. That is some serious vegetable action happening. All right, tasting it one more time because I think this seasoning will have done it. Nailed it. These are going to get covered and continue to cook for at least 2 more hours on a super low heat. And then we're going to let them cool, and I'll bag them up and we'll be ready to freeze them. Have them whenever you want. All of the cooking's done now. Warm it up later. That's smart. That's thinking ahead. Okay. This is Keisha at Kitchen Bravo saying, eat your greens. Just eat them. Eat your greens.